one. Hi there, welcome back to my full disclosure of everything channel. As you know, this lady in the screen is the one, the only, doesn't need an introduction because she is Dr. Christiane Northrup. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be here, Danny, and to see you. Last time we saw each other, it was only last September in Westminster, Colorado. And there were direct flights from Portland, Maine to Colorado, to Denver, which was like a miracle. They do that every now and again. You can get out of Portland, Maine to somewhere else direct.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, it was amazing. And you spoke at the last two G6,
Yes.
2023 and 2024, and you landed some absolutely stonking information and some shocking information, but some honest information. And that's one of the things we know you for as an MD and a world famous gynecologist and so much more. We know you for bringing the truth, don't we?
Yes. Yes. And doing it with love, doing it with kindness, and seeing how we could, at least in the past, do this within the system as it exists. So my brother yesterday, I was talking to him and he said, well, you know what we need? We need an oncologist. This is a family member with cancer. We need an oncologist who can work in the system but has all the other stuff too. And I said, in the olden days, Bill, that was me. In the olden days. Now, you really cannot do that anymore. I just spoke with an oncologist who moved from California to Idaho. And I said, if you had stayed in California, they would have removed your license by now.
Oh,
And that's the truth. We have three doctors in Maine who had their licenses removed during the great awakening that began in 2020, where we all woke up because of a thing that starts with a C.
mm,
I never know how much censorship there's going to be, but what happened for a bunch of us is we were not saying anything different than what we'd been doing for 40 years. There was nothing different, but suddenly the uh, the truth was so threatening to the controllers that we got squashed. And it was truly, I mean, if you think about it, since we are immortal physical being, spiritual beings, it was the truth that has set so many of us free. But I would tell you that the main thing that I would like to get out there is that starting at about 1910, the turn of the last century, um, we we had a thing called the Flexner Report, and this was commissioned by John D. Rockefeller, head of Standard Oil. And the Flexner Report was to go out and expose all of the non-scientific medical practitioners. So this would be chiropractors, acupuncturists, homeopaths, herbalists, anything that did not fit a pharmaceutical model. And then he began to make drugs from petroleum-based products. Now, this is what everyone needs to know. This is really important. We are awesomely and wonderfully made in the image of God. So we are not patentable human beings. And God gave us all of the herbs of the field and all of the foods and so on. And here's the kicker, everybody. You cannot patent and make money on God's creations. So most farm, if you may, you might remember this old movie. It was called Medicine Man with Sean Connery, and and they're in the jungles of South America and the Amazon, and they're trying to find the plants that contain the cures. But here's what everyone needs to know. They might find the plant and it'll have these amazing properties that God gave the plant for humans. But instead, what pharmakia does, and in the Bible, pharmakia is the word for sorcery, what they do is then take that naturally occurring substance and change it ever so slightly so it can be patentable. And that's what they've done with all the hormones that make birth control pills, almost all the hormones that make hormone replacement therapy, and so on. So starting in about the late 1980s, early 1990s, and when the first edition of Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom came out, I said in 94, the massive Women's Health Initiative, which was going to put every woman on hormone replacement to decrease heart disease, the number one killer of women. I said in the book, first edition, they're using the wrong hormone at the wrong dose, and they're never going to find out what they want to find out. Sure enough, 2002, I'm on a whale watch in Cape Cod Bay, and I get a call from the Wall Street Journal because they have suddenly stopped the massive Women's Health Initiative. Why? Because they're seeing a signal that women are getting more cancer and more gallbladder disease and all of that. So they instantly say hormone replacement is dangerous. So all these women went cold turkey off hormonal therapy that was helping a lot of them, even though it was the wrong hormone, by the way. The number one hormone at that time was Premarin, pregnant mare's urine. That's what Premarin stands for. And it was kind of the first to market with a company known as Wyeth Ayers that doesn't exist anymore. But they're still getting Premarin from pregnant mares in huge barns, a lot of it in Western Canada, where the horse stands on concrete all day and every drop of her urine is collected. And then when she gives birth to a male foal, those foals are shipped off to be killed. And sometimes their blood is also harvested. And I had an editor who was a veterinarian who had worked at one of those pregnant mare's urine factories. And she said, my job was to bleed the horse to the point where she almost fell down in her stall from taking out so much blood.
Oh, that's
And so
awful.
to this day, there's no generic Premarin. Why? Because it is made in nature by a horse. And so, as one of my mentors, Joel Hargrove of the menopause, the it was the Tennessee, anyway, he had a whole menopause clinic down in Tennessee. And he said, yes, Premarin is a natural hormone if your native food is hay. And the other thing that was interesting, if you talk to a veterinarian, it's illegal to give human 17 beta estradiol to a horse, but it's not illegal to give a horse urine product to humans. And that's what they were using
Mm.
in the famous Women's Health Initiative. Whereas it was the Vanderbilt Menopause Center. So I worked with Joel Hargrove and his roommate from college, Joe Delk. And Joe Delk had the Delk Pharmacy, and I used to call Joe Delk, and he would give my patients their own prescription for bioidentical hormones, the hormones found in the female human. And the stuff was cheap, and he had a transdermal way to do it. And Joel also patented a way to take natural progesterone, bioidentical progesterone, and put it in a pill so that women could take that. And so here's the thing, Danny, that I've been on the front lines of this for so many years, and the pharmaceutical companies now have patented the delivery system for some natural hormones, which I consider fabulous, like the Vivel dot or the estroderm patch or any of those things. So what I want women to know is there are naturally occurring hormones that you can get at a regular pharmacy. You just kind of have to know what you're doing. On the other hand, not all women need hormone replacement. Depends on what your adrenal health is like going into menopause. But now, with all of the stress and all of the disclosure where people are waking up to, wait a minute, I thought all this was safe. I thought I could trust my doctor. And then you realize that your doctor is learning all of this stuff from, I mean, I remember this way back in my residency. You would have Gynecologic Endocrinology, the textbook for everything hormonal. And they would give out copies of these texts to doctors. Who funded all of it? The drug companies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like Johnson and Johnson and Wyeth Ayers and all of that. Now, there's a way, I think, all of it should come together. It all should. I mean, if you're a person of good character and so on, you want to take the best of both worlds. But we just noticed with the announcement about acetaminophen, Tylenol in pregnancy, it's never, ever, even the people from McNeil-Lehrer say Tylenol's never been something we would recommend for pregnant women, ever. But now what are we doing? The American College of OBGYN is doubling down on how safe this is in pregnancy. It's like, wake me up when it's over. So that's why I decided I needed to circle back and teach a new generation of women all of this stuff that us baby boomers learned through trial and error in the 90s, let's say. You know, I was on Oprah with Suzanne Summers, the late Suzanne Summers, and then the head of gynecology at Northwestern. And I had the head of gynecology over here, and I had Suzanne Summers over here, and I had to be like the referee in the middle. Like the truth is here in the middle, you guys. I mean, so Suzanne Summers felt that anything that was in a regular pharmacy was poison. And then over here, head of gynecology, she thinks anything that's created in a formulary pharmacy is poison. And it's like, no, there's something in the middle. So I wanted to teach women what is the exquisite interaction between their mind, their body, their emotions, their thoughts, their food, their relationship, and how does all of it result in the hormonal cascade that affects estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And how do you balance all of that in this body that has what Jesus said is the kingdom is within you. The kingdom is within you. And as Alex Collier, our beloved Alex Collier said, if you wanted to hide the truth, where would you put it? Where you'd never look, inside you. Because everything we've been taught in medicine is you need an expert outside of yourself because you can't trust what you know. And one of the things that we noticed when RFK was just giving that speech about the autism thing, um, they did something that was astounding. They had mothers speak. They gave mothers a platform to tell their experience. And every good pediatrician will tell you, listen to the mother. Think about it. Where does a baby come from? Inside the mother,
Yeah.
which is why, of course, our mothers are, I remember oh, that Winona Judd. She'd always say, if it's not one thing, it's your mother.
Right. Yeah, I know. I mean, gosh, I'm so proud of you. And over the years, every time you've come on my channel, as you know, pretty much, if we went to do 10 broadcasts, 9 of those were taken down. And so we
Yeah.
were trying to always, you and I, formulate, because I didn't realize that YouTube, or boob tube, as I like to call it, run by the awful boob tube police, is owned by the pharmacology companies. It's owned by Big Pharma, isn't it? That's why every time he came on and we're free speaking, as we have the right to, because we decide that for ourselves, especially as women, we decide that for ourselves. And I just kept getting strikes. It was crazy. So I even reached out to Catherine Edwards the other day to say to her, because she's going on your channel. You're on her channel. She's supporting your hormone course, which is what we're talking about, and
Yeah.
much more, of course. And then I'm like, okay, because she's a biologist, right? And I'm like, okay, what words currently in September 2025 can we and can we not say? You know what I mean? So,
Right. Right.
right, you have to keep checking in with each other to keep all our friends safe and to, because it's ridiculous how we are so under the cosh, and truth is still trying to come up to the top. I think we're doing extremely well, though. All of us warriors out there in our field.
Unbelievably well. And I would just like to, acknowledge that is that there is this thing, I call it God's internet, where we know things. You'll be thinking of someone they call. This is happening more and more and more. I was just talking with a friend of mine who I met when I was doing that little ministry, in 2020, when I was noticing, they were putting people in solitary confinement, which you're not even allowed to do in prison, but we put the entire planet in solitary confinement, and everyone was terrified. I mean, do you remember those YouTubes, those little videos of the people in Italy, in the towns in Italy, where they're singing from one apartment to the other, but if they go to the grocery store, the thought police are, I mean, this was insanity, just insanity. And people are now waking up to the controllers who've been doing this really for decades. This isn't new. They've
Yeah.
been doing it for decades through the school system but I think that the great controller has been the medical system. And it is the religion. It is the religion. Doctor says. I remember a friend who started proprioceptive writing, and she was very much into Holocaust literature. And she said, so what did they do when the people got off the trains in the camps? There was a doctor in a white coat with a clipboard. And the doctor was determining who went here and who went there. It's always this medical authority. They know more than you. You've passed your physical, the doctor gave you a clean bill of health, or you can't play sports until a doctor says. It's like, and then look at the doctor. Why would you trust that person? And so it's always this sort of top-down authority. My uncle was one of those. I mean, he was once looking in my brother's ear because we had our physicals at Thanksgiving at Uncle Robert's. He had the office in his house. And my brother said, what are you seeing in the ear? And my uncle goes, what medical school did you go to? Like somehow you couldn't know your own body unless an authority figure from outside told you. And then when you get in there, if you're me, you get in there and you begin to see the cracks in it. Like I remember an intern who was so funny, and we were looking at some kind of scan, a CAT scan, something, and he takes a magnifying glass and to show you some things in the scan, and he goes, this is my imagination intensifier.
Ah, that's brilliant.
So remember, everybody, everything has to do with a CPT code. It has to do with a code. And if it's not real, it doesn't have a code. So now we have a code for the unvaccinated, as though that is an illness.
Mhm.
So, and I had a friend from Ireland who told me that the whatever it is, the health service that you guys have over there, told her, well, now she had this, so she had to come in for that. And I said to her, don't be ridiculous. You don't need to go in for that. But it's this overarching system of disease screening. It's not health,
Yeah, yeah.
it's disease screening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Muppets over here, the total losers at the top, the government, the president, whatever, the ministers, the senators, Tony Blair, former minister, someone said, I saw this woman answering a question. She says, why do you think that, they've brought Tony Blair in to look at this digital ID and this kind of, World Economic Forum? And she leans forward, she says, that's because Satan wasn't available that day, you know.
And I do notice that the UK appears to be waking up. What I love is that those cameras get taken down every time they put up a camera,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yeah, the 5G towers. It's that they're trying, the beast is dying, the old guard is coming down, the
Yeah.
beautiful people, which is all of us together, are realizing that we've been so programmed to not use our voices, well, apart from girls like you and me, we've always been
Right,
right?
right.
And now they're like, hang on, I don't need to conform or consent. And this digital ID, Nazi program that they want to force on everyone. We've already got a passport, a phone that's tracked, but no, and someone said the reason why they're trying to force the digital ID, which we're all doing now, we're like, get out of here. It's not
Yeah,
happening. Piss off. Because it's that you follow the program. It's the Jews all over again, making them wear the Star of David, making them have papers. How rude! Anyway, damn it, I forgot what I was going to say. But oh yeah, digital ID. So it is to see who took the jab and who didn't. And one of the most evil monsters, and I talk about him all the time, monstrous Bill Gates. His mosquitoes, years ago when I heard about this, his medical, biological mosquitoes, I thought it was such a good idea to actually wipe out mosquitoes because they are the number one killer in the world. But that Mr. Evil, knowing that, has been developing technological mosquitoes to release in the billions and he actually said this, and it's actually true. I've researched it for years. I've researched that monster for years. He said it will be helpful for those who are vaccine resistant. Because him and the other little Muppets at the top, they want us all to be injected with that horror because they can control, But the failure of them, and then when you see those towers with the multi, they're so ugly. At least in
yeah,
America, they'll pretend they're giant cacti, right? Giant cactuses. But in England, they're just everywhere. And I'm like, you guys, this is a security fence. This is an electrical security fencing system going in. The roads around my town, you cannot move. Every single week, there's another little red, the red lights, traffic lights. Because what are they doing? They are wiring up the system to create these. They're still trying to go ahead and do what they wanted to do. So I was in the car with my friend, and she gets upset with me in my mouth, right, being so outspoken and doing what I do. So I don't, we either talk about it or we don't. I don't really care. I've known her since I was 11. That friendship's not going away, thank goodness. But well, in the car, and I said to her, so what do you think all this constant, constant, stressful traffic is that makes us wait because there's a little traffic light, there's more roadworks? She goes, well, maybe the waterworks, maybe. I'm like, yeah, that we all used to say that because we didn't know to think because we
right.
trusted, like the doctors, we trusted
Yeah,
everybody, didn't we?
yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing, we're learning how to trust ourselves. And my whole body of work, really, from the time I wrote Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, has been for women to trust themselves. So my chief role on earth has been to be an authority, because they always say, well, I'm not a doctor, but it's like, well, I am. And I am board certified and I went to the best schools. So I am telling you, I'm holding up a mirror and I'm giving you back your authority. And so, I'm kind of this bridge person. And then what happens is, like, for instance, I met a woman on another thing we were doing, and she said to me, when I was 28 years old, you saved my life. And I said, how was that? And she said, I saw you on Oprah and you told us we could trust ourselves and that if something was wrong and we knew it, then we needed to be persistent. And she said, I had early stage ovarian cancer, very rare at that time for a 28-year-old. And she said, because I heard you, I went in and, then I got cured of that. Now, that's her own inner wisdom, in a way, attracting me in that moment to her so that she could thrive. And now she's in her 60s and, just absolutely thriving.
Oh,
But when I heard that, it just brought me to tears. It just shows you there's this God's internet, I call it, where when we do this thing that Jesus taught us, we battle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities of darkness that are not of this world. And it's like Alex Collier said on his last thing, these demons, they lived for thousands of years. He said, this thing since Jesus, that's a weekend for them. And so don't give them your power because we're the ones with the power. And it's so interesting to me. We're the ones with the power, and especially the empaths, the healers. We're the ones who feel everything. And then when we give them our power, and then we stay in terror or in fear or whatever, this is what they live on. So the minute that we step back and laugh about it, then we're free. You just laugh about it, but there's nothing. What I want to get across to people is you have family members, you all have family members who think you're nuts, and we've all got that, and it doesn't matter. You know what you know. And there's so many more of us now. I mean, when I started, I mean, really, and, Danny, for 40 years, I would go into the doctor's lounge expecting to have my pink slip that I had been removed. And it was almost predictive programming. Like I sort of always knew. And I gave back my license in 2015 because I could see where things were going. I had no idea, and none of us did, that we would go through what we went through with this global thing and all of it. But we're more powerful than that. I mean, when I go through TSA, I just say to the agent, I'm not going to do that facial thing. And they go, okay. I mean, it's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to fight them. Some of them are very grateful that I don't yell at them. I just say, I don't want to do it. And they go, thank you for being so kind, because they're just doing their job too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so crazy. I need to get you back on soon with, great bombastic women like Beverly Rhodes and Kathy O'Brien and Dr. Lee Merritt again. And, we were talking earlier about our friend Dr. Rainer Fulmich, who was
Yeah.
kidnapped in Mexico at the German embassy, stolen by authorities against his will, and taken and now still is in prison. He's been in prison for bloody years now, Dr. Rainer Fulmich, because he's one of the most terrifying men on the planet with the brilliant brain and the legalities as a lawyer to take down Deutsche Bank and
Yeah.
Volkswagen, which he successfully did. And when the COVID pandemic came out, he was revealing the hoax of it.
Yeah.
And there are still people that are programmed from that time and traumatized, and God love you all for that, but they'll immediately switch off because their brain is mush from never being able to advocate for themselves. And
Right.
sometimes to me, that's a choice as well. It isn't just better to roll over, as you and I know, because things are never going to get better. That's you lining up to get on the train to go into the camp. That's
Yes, it,
right. The same
yeah.
program is still there, constantly there. And Dr. Reiner, I mean, somebody bought him a session with me. And then I open my camera and there he is, this handsome man. And I'm like, I know you. You're that bloke. I said, you're that bloke that fights against COVID. And you're always sitting around a dining room table. And how he got banged up was being betrayed by a woman on the board and someone else that accused him of fraud. They'll put anything on anyone.
It's
Lie.
very, yeah, no, no, it's very true.
Yeah, kidnapped
That's
him. But yeah, there was one time, it was a couple of years ago now, before he was imprisoned. It was you, me, Dr. Lee Merritt, Dr. Rainer Fjolme. We had a great broadcast.
we did.
Yeah, I remember at the time I stuck it on Rumble because it was so strict and you was such a target still,
I
such
was.
a target. But now there is a lot more freedom, but it's still a bit tricky here and there, but we still have to march forwards, onwards and forwards, never ever stopping, right?
That's right. But do it with joy. Do it with humor. That's why all the memes that are so funny, one of my favorite that was sent to me by our friend George Lewis, and
Yeah.
it's this giant Gila monster lizard, and King Charles has his hand on it, and he says, "Hello, mummy."
Oh God, that's half the British audience gone, right? I know people, honestly, they lose it. They lose it. You talk about one person, Camilla the horse, and you just, I don't understand. Like this the woman looking at her, it's so interesting. that they say she's the queen. I'm like, that's Camilla. Do you know what I mean? That's like his bird. But oh, you have to respect. No, we actually don't have to respect. And people are so shocked. Oh, you're such a rebel. Really, I think I'm a thinker and that I can decide who and what I'm going to respect and observe and honor and, all the rest of it. And then another time, me and Nikki Allen just went on oh, what's his name? Jeff Mara, the Jeff Mara podcast. I like Jeff, he's nice. And he interviews anyone. He doesn't do any checking. He lets anyone on his channel. Exactly right. That's his niche. That's his niche. He wants to be the biggest podcaster in the world. Anyway, we went on there to promote, to promote this. And again, it's completely gone out of my head. I'm still jet lagged. I'm still jet lagged from.
Well, I understand. But what I want everyone to know is so I'm offering this 4-week Reset Your Hormones course. It begins October 7th. It will be recorded for those of you who can't be around, because it's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, New York time. And 4 weeks, we're going to teach you everything about your hormones that everyone needs to know. And so uh, Danny will have the link to register in the description here. But I want you to know about stress hormones, cortisol, epinephrine, insulin, the effect on your blood sugar, weight gain, why you need iodine, why you need vitamin D, like all of this stuff. Because here's the thing, everybody, for those of you who are awake, we need you to stay healthy. We need you to stay healthy because it's very easy to get, as Alex said again on his show, it's so easy to be tired and to be beaten down and to be negative. So what I want you to know, everybody, the easiest thing to do is to go negative. Oh my God, it's all over. They're going to win. It's never going to. All of that will literally create that reality for you. And that's what they're counting on. So being optimistic and being healthy is the absolute best resistance. It is the best weapon. What in the Bible it says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. But you need to understand what the weapons are. And they are doom and gloom. They're getting you on. Do you know the average 65-year-old is on 6 prescription medications because you've been brainwashed into thinking that at the age of 50, it's all over. You got to get your mammograms and you got to get your colonoscopies and and your bones are going to dissolve and you will never have sex again. And you blah, 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 blah. All bollocks. This is not true. So I want to teach people as an insider, as a board certified OBGYN, I want to teach them the truth that will set them free, that they have this inner guidance, God in us. That's what Emmanuel means. And you can ask questions. Why? Because who made your mind? God. So God did not stop talking to people after the Bible was written and revised and revised and revised and revised and revised so that it would keep you out of touch with what you know inside. So I want to bring that knowledge back because it's still in there. It's still in there. It's just got, commandeered by other forces.
Well, I'm so excited for this hormonal course, and I will be doing it myself.
Oh,
Um,
good. All
oh,
right.
absolutely, absolutely. I need the education. I need the balance. I need to know that I'm not a complete schizoid because, we all have this wild, crazy hormones. And, when you have your womb and your ovaries and your fallopian tubes and everything removed, as I've gone through, and as many women have his full hysterectomy.
Many. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got some balancing to do, but the body is amazing. The body
Yeah.
is incredible how it will take care and kind of curate. But where we're at, because of all the poisoning of food, the water, the skies, the barium, the strontium, the titanium that we're all ingesting, like we do need barriers and we do need that balance, don't we? Desperately.
Yeah. And there's so many things that you can do, and it is not going to cost a lot of money because God gave us what? The air, the earth, the sunlight, and we are magnetic. So it's important to remember we are a frickin' battery. And so I'm just going to keep you charged. Just you got to get your voltage high. I recently rewatched the movie The Matrix. I hadn't seen it for years. and I was overcome with, oh my God. You know, that scene where they've got all those fetuses in these circular battery things where they're
God.
using humanity's energy to fuel the matrix. Well, this is just sort of a figment of their imagination, not yours, theirs. They use our creativity to program us to create their reality. And once you know that, you go, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to feed you anymore. How about that? How about I not feed you anymore? And you have, and this is what the Bible tells us if you know how to read it, we have power and authority over these, I've always said this, over these lizards.
Absolutely. You know, when you say that God gave us this and God gave us that, I'm like, and she also gave us bicarbonate of soda or baking powder. Because I'm telling you, that is one of the most miraculous
It is.
in the world. In the world.
Yes, and hydrogen peroxide and chlorine dioxide and all of these. I call it God's pharmacy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I
great.
love it. I bought a book and I think it was a scam book because I didn't realize because I was so excited about Barbara O'Neill. You know, she's so beautiful
Oh,
that
I love her. I love her. Yes.
I mean, she's so intelligent and how the body works and what to use for this and this and this. And then somebody, when the book came, I realized that these people had cut and copied her work.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
awful. It's
It's
just awful.
despicable. And then there
Yeah.
are people all over Facebook that promote her, but it's some foreign, you know, Indian or Pakistani name in particular who are saying you must make comment in comment box, you know,
Oh,
broken
yeah.
English, right? It's
My
like
God.
acknowledge, you know, I'm not very pleasant in those situations. I'm like, how dare you do this to the lady? You know, it's just so awful. But what we get with you is we get the many decades of actual training and study of the anatomy, the biology, every aspect, and you've kept up your work and you've kept on and on. And I think it's an honor. Well, it's an honor to have you on my channel. It's an honor to call you my friend, but it's an honor to bring your work and know that I know there are going to be so many women, biological women, who are going to be able to rebalance in this crazy time of stress and being worn out and you know and everything. And if there's a man out there who has transformed to a woman, so a trans woman, I've forgotten what they're called. Sorry, what's the title? Trans women, isn't it?
Transgender.
That's it,
Transgender.
transgender. If
Hmm.
there is a biological man that transitioned to become a woman, this isn't for you, is it? Because it's
Yeah.
totally different areas, and you can't get butthurt about it because it's just the way that nature works in its natural form. So, lots of love to you people, but you got to sit this one out, men that become women. You know, and again, it's okay to have these conversations. I no longer worry. I do my best. I try and be kind, but still people get triggered and you can't please them all because it's going to happen. So just making the point that this is a course for biological women such as myself. Even though someone told our friend David Mahoney, Danny Henderson's a man. I'm like,
No kidding. Did they really? Oh my
yeah.
God.
I'm like, no, I've checked. I'm a woman. I am a jolly good woman. I am indeed. I am indeed. Ah,
Yeah,
well, listen,
that's
it's
good.
so lovely to see you and have you on. And I know that you've been missed off this channel. So the course starts on October the 7th. I will put everything. I've got all the links from your team to go
Good.
underneath. But for those that don't remember to go underneath, tell us the name of it, how long it runs for, the cost, anything that you want to share, please, my love. The floor is
Yes.
yours.
Okay. So the it is reset your hormones in 4 weeks. You can get details if you get nothing else. Just go to Dr. Northrup, DrNorthrup.com. It begins October 7th. It's 4 Tuesday evenings at 7 o'clock with a live Q&A after that. It will be recorded so that you can always go back and you'll have those videos for time immemorial. We will be teaching you everything you need to know about what the hormones are, how they interact, whether or not you need hormone replacement or what you can do with herbs and so on, and how to reset your body and so that it remembers what it means to be made in the image of God. So it's not really about anything except remembering that all of this, all of the way you've been conditioned, doesn't need to affect how you are now. It's kind of a what I love about perimenopause, it's a rebirth. It's your soul is going through a total rebirth, and you are um, picking up where you left off when you went through puberty.
Mm.
It's like all those things that your soul knew before you got your period, and I like to say the second chakra opened up and the fifth chakra shut down because you were trying to figure out how to fit in as a woman in this crazy culture. So then what happens now at perimenopause, all of that knowledge, all of that knowing comes back up. And the more you try to repress it, the more symptoms you're going to have. So we want to support you as a midwife for your soul at this time, which is grow or die. You get to decide. You get to decide. And most of what you've learned is programming, and you can reprogram it. And it's not that hard. So that's what I'm going to teach.
I love it. You can reprogram it, and it's not that hard, ladles and jelly beans. It is not that hard.
That's
Brilliant.
right.
Well, Dr. Christiane Northrup, as ever, and your name is right behind you there on that lovely pull up so people can get the correct spelling. They can find you on drnorthrup.com. There are several emails, websites, but also your YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel. When I first met you, I remember going there and doing a dive, just countless hours and hours. I got lost in your right? Because there's so much information on you. And again, the long tenure that you've gifted, all these decades of hard work into the field. And, you've been applauded all around the world on so many different platforms. And then became an enemy of the world as soon as you started going against COVID because you were telling the truth. And obviously, the manufacturers of COVID, that was made in a lab in Wuhan and funded by Obama and Gates and other Fauci and other monsters that tried to take over the world and failed. You have been there standing your ground and fighting and creating and now gifting us this. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Any final words to the beautiful audience that will see this?
Yes, final words. We are in a real interesting time right now. Right now, this very moment. You've heard the storm is upon us. And now the storm is upon us. But remember, I always like to say the book of Revelation is for them, not us. So don't be worried about it. Don't be worried about it. I mean, I've spent all this time, Nikki, Danny, when I met you, we were in Cozumel, Mexico, and I said to Mahoney, I am not coming if I have to get that thing stuck up my nose. And he goes, don't worry about that. And then, we did a thing with, me getting the right paperwork and so on. And I didn't travel for a long time. And then I realized, oh, no, you can do all this when you know who you are. We're the ones who create our reality by remembering who we are. And then you create this energy field around yourself, this what you call a blessing field, the Taurus field, that's your biofield, becomes energized. And then you're kind of protected from all the stuff going on around you because here's what you do. Okay, this is the key. This is sort of my key mantra as I go through life. And I learn about, what the culture says about a woman at this age, or what the culture says about this and that and the other. And I just always go, that doesn't apply to me. That's what you say. Doesn't apply to me. You can all do that. This doesn't apply to me. Yeah.
That is so perfect. Wonderful
Yeah.
words of wisdom from the one and only Dr. Christiane Northrup. Thank you, my love. Thank you for being here. And I'm definitely doing your course. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to everyone out there, I know you're going to be so happy to see this great lady on my channel again. It has been a while and I have missed her dearly, as I know you have. So I'll see some of you on the course, and the rest of you enjoy this broadcast. And I send you love from my heart to yours, and I will see you soon. God bless. Thank you, Dr. Christiane.